This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for being out. If you want to call, I had to call out sick, ladies and gentlemen. I know I wasn't here for a couple of shows, a couple of post games. I was a little bit under the weather, so I had to do what I had to do to take care of myself. Plus, I was traveling, goes down that way sometimes. And, let me get my camera and things straight the way that I want it, whatever. It's good enough. My background is about to change anyway, so it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks, the Jekyll and Hyde Knicks show up again. 109-94 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are a team that I still don't fully believe in that basketball team. But they shut me up tonight, I can tell you that. They made me look dumb. 109-94. The Cleveland Cavaliers get the win over the Knicks, but there's just something missing with the Knicks tonight. The urgency, something not there with the New York Knicks tonight. It's hard for me to say what exactly it was. I don't know. There's a fire missing sometimes with this basketball team. And then, of course, there's, things that it just make you question. Karl Anthony Towns, 5 for 5, right? 5 for 5, Karl Anthony Towns is. And, they're basically not stopping the guy. Why are we not going to him? Right? Why are we not consistently going to him? If they're not stopping him, and you all know I haven't been the biggest Cat fan, right? I haven't been the biggest fan of Cat. And that's okay. It is what it is. But why do you not go to him when he's hot? When he's doing his thing? It's unexplainable to me. People are going to say, well, the Knicks they had to come back down 20 versus Houston, and then they had to battle against the Chicago Bulls. And that was a back-to-back, and then they fly to Cleveland, and, I don't care about that. The Knicks are 2-2 since the All-Star break. We expected the Knicks to come out, or we're hoping that the Knicks were going to come out and, make some kind of a run. 500 since the All-Star break. Mike Brown is looking for lineups, which, and why? See, and here is, I just see someone said they're not a fan of Mike Brown. I like Mike Brown. I do. I like Mike Brown. I'm not saying that he's my favorite coach of all time, but I like him as a coach. But, one of the issues that I've had with him, is that he's jerked around the lineup too much. Trying to play too many guys. And maybe it's not his fault. Maybe this is what the front office wanted. But now we're getting down to the wire. We're entering March in a few days. And we're still trying to figure out the lineups. We're still trying to figure out that steady rotation. We shouldn't be at that point. We should be at the point right now where we're just tweaking maybe some small things. That's where I feel we should be. But instead, we're still trying to figure out lineups. Who's going to be? I mean, for the most part, we know who's in the rotation, right? So I guess you're trying to figure out those last pieces of the rotation. But in my opinion, at this point in the season, those things should have been figured out. And I know there were trades made, the trade deadline and all of that. So that makes a difference. That makes a difference as far as, having your rotations together and all of that. But I don't know. That's disappointing to me, because how are you going to be prepared for the playoffs if you're still trying to figure out who's playing? Still trying to figure out who your main guys are. How can you be prepared for the playoffs? I don't believe you can be. How can you understand how to make adjustments if you're not exactly sure of your guys? Right? Because knowing who you're playing, knowing who's on the floor, knowing what their personalities are, how they react to situations is part of you making adjustments. How can you make those adjustments if you don't know your players like that? It's difficult. It's difficult. I don't know. It's bothersome to me. It might not be bothersome to others, but it's bothersome to me. Because I feel like right now we're behind the 8 ball. And the reason why I feel like we're behind the 8 ball is because we took so much of the season to try to experiment and, be, this progressive squad and do these progressive things when it comes to coaching and managing the team. Sometimes all you have to do is play basketball. Just play. And everything else will work out. You know what I mean? I don't know. Even Fred, look at this, guys. Fred said, Son, we're all bothered at this point. Yeah, we should be bothered. You know what I mean? We should be bothered because it just feels like we're behind the 8 ball on some things. I like giving guys like Mo Diawara a chance, right? Get Tyler Kolek a chance. But there comes a point, and I think it has to come earlier than it has come this year. Because after the All-Star break, we had like 27 games left after the All-Star break. I think you got to make those decisions earlier. It should be 27, 30 games. After these 30 games, you know what you're doing. You know who's in your lineup. Now, if there's a trade made, you're going to do some things, right? But, you gotta get that. You got to figure that out earlier. And then the players. Fred said, basic fundamental basketball. These guys get paid millions, and they're making rookie mistakes too often. There's just a fire missing with this team. You know what I mean? And there's a fire. There's a fire. Like, we're at the point in the season where you bring out the toughness. You know what I'm saying? You're not panicking. Panicking is not the right word, but you understand the stakes. It's like we don't understand the stakes. You know what I mean? I don't want to say we don't care. We care. But it's just like we don't understand the stakes, man. You know what I mean? And that's disappointing to me. And that bothers me. That bothers me. You know what I mean? We just lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were behind us in the standings. Now they're tied with us in the standings. We still own the tiebreakers because we won earlier in the season. We're 2 games behind the Boston Celtics. The Celtics were not supposed to be. We were supposed to be. Now, the Celtics did what they did. You got to get the Celtics props for defying the odds. And if somehow Jason Tatum comes back for the playoffs, man, wow. But we're 2 games behind the Celtics, 6.5 games behind the Pistons. We're not catching the Pistons. We may not catch the Celtics. We may drop the 4th. Who knows? Because we just aren't playing with the type of urgency that we need to. We're not rounding into shape at the right time. You heard whoever it was on the postgame show say, well, the Knicks are still, they're going to win 50-something games. Okay, that's cool. That's great. But we're not looking like the team that's supposed to be primed for the playoffs or getting to be primed for the playoffs. We're 59 games into the season. We have 23 games left to the season, ladies and gentlemen. 23 games left to the season. And I'm not going to say we look a mess, but we don't look like we're primed. We still look jagged. We still look like we don't look like we understand who we are as a basketball team. In my opinion, we don't. We beat Houston. We beat Chicago. Tony and I had some, even though, I wasn't able to get on, Tony and I had some discussions about it. And the question that he asked me was, is the comeback against Houston, was that more of them being Houston, that's who they are? Or was that, we had the grit to come back? Because they've let some teams back in the games and win and all of that. It's I don't know. I don't want to be so negative. I expect more. I expect more. We're not going to win every game. And, I was on Tony's show yesterday or whenever it was. And like I said, I don't expect to win every game. You're not going to. It's about your performance. It's about how you play. Are you playing good basketball? You can play good basketball and lose. Just want to play good basketball, put ourselves in position to win when the time is right. We still got room and time to get there. I got my brother Nick from Jersey on the line. Nick, what's popping with you, bro? How you feeling?
What's going on, Sam? How you doing tonight?
Personally, I'm doing pretty good.
Good to hear.
As far as with the Knicks, I don't know how to call it with this particular team. They confuse me sometimes.
It's been like that all season.
Oh yeah,
it's
all
been
season.
Like that all season. And now is the risk of making this change at the head coaching spot. It's year one all over again. Last year was year one with the new core. This year is year one with the new coach. And he's coached 59 games now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the exact number that Don Nelson lasted with the Knicks exactly 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Don Nelson was 2 games worse. He was 34-21. Mike Brown's 37-22. Regardless, look, Brown, he's a good coach in general, but I don't know if it's the right fit. And I think, from what I'm seeing on the internet, the number one thing the best you hear right now with Knicks fans is, Mike Brown's not the guy, but they still needed to get rid of Tibbs. Or there's no like overwhelming endorsements of Brown right
Right.
now
Right.
on Twitter. You know, like
Right.
he's like really unpopular with the fan base. Even the people who want to fire Tibbs, like even those guys are like against Brown right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing at least.
Yeah.
And you know, he's lost the last 5 games against JB Bickerstaff. You know, spanning multiple teams, multiple years. This is a guy that Tibbs eliminated twice in the playoffs in the last 3 years. So, you know, it just seems like we're at a disadvantage in the playoffs at the coaching position when we're facing the Pistons, if we even get that far.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I really have no confidence that this team, as constructed, is going to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals again.
Yeah. I feel you. You know, and it's sometimes you look at them play, and it's like they feel the same way. This sometimes it's like they don't play with spirit. Tonight
Right.
is a night that they really play with spirit or fire. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And these are, you know, these are intangible things. And I'm not saying that Brown is a bad leader or anything like that. There's different strokes for different folks and different styles for different groups of men.
Mm-hmm.
And Tibbs had his style,
Mm-hmm.
and he was kind of like the bad cop. And that the team needed a bad cop.
Right.
And now Brown comes in and he's the good cop. And it's not driving well, because when you have, and a lot of people are saying, oh, you know, Tibbs played every game like it was game 7. Okay. Maybe he you know, that wasn't the right way, but when you go too far in the other direction, you undermine your credibility amongst people who are professionals. Jalen
Right.
Brunson's a professional. Karl
Right.
Anthony Towns is a professional.
Right.
You know, these guys are professionals. They take their careers seriously. They take what they're doing very seriously. And when the coach is, you know, not holding them accountable, when the coach is trying to be player friendly, quote unquote, that builds resentment quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It has the opposite effect
Mm-hmm.
with people who are professional and serious.
Right.
It has the opposite. The player friendly shtick dies out quickly, is my point.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of what we're seeing here.
Yeah. You know, and at least with Tibbs, you know, he wasn't a perfect coach. But we knew what to expect, right? We knew what to expect. There was an identity to the team. Even when, you know, there were times in the beginning, maybe it was, you know, you were wondering what the identity was. By the time we got to this point of the season, you knew who and what the team was. You knew what to expect. The players knew what to expect. All right. Kev in the chat says Tibbs was too predictable. He was predictable, but the players could predict when they were going to play, if they were going to play, how much they were going to play, what their roles were, you know. And he was that bad guy, right? He stuck to his guns no matter what. And while it may not have been perfect, you knew what to expect when he, you know, when he stuck to his guns. Okay, this was the game plan. He's not changing from it. This is what we got to do. We got to figure out how to win with it. He'll maybe change next game. You know, with Mike Brown, things just seem, you know, all over the place. When it comes to rotations, when it comes to, you know, what the Knicks are doing on a nightly basis, I don't know. And it just feels like to me, you know, there's not an identity. The guys don't really know who they are as a team.
Yeah. You know, they say, well, the regular season's the perfect time to experiment. Okay, well, the regular season's almost done.
Yeah.
You know, and they're still experimenting, and you don't need that much data to make judgments about what's working and what's not working. Like, you don't need to keep experimenting. We know what lineups are working, and here's the real thing, which is when the Knicks are back, when their back is to the wall, what does Brown do? He reverts back to the things that supposedly got Tibbs fired.
Yeah.
He goes back to the starting 5 with Josh Hart. He goes back to a shortened rotation. The Knicks revert back to kind of isolation Brunson ball. These are, the quote-unquote unimaginative offense of Tom Thibodeau. That's exactly what the Knicks play when they're in a big game against a team that plays good defense. That's what they're playing under Mike Brown.
Right.
When the Knicks play a good opponent with good defense, they're playing quote-unquote Tom Thibodeau offense. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Yeah, because it's Jalen Brunson's offense.
Yep.
It's always been Jalen Brunson. The problem with the Knicks has always been the defensive side of the ball. Always, when the defense is working, their offense is working. When the defense is not working, they have a hard time. So they've always been trying to focus. Offense has never been really the problem. When you got Jalen Brunson on the team. But anyway, I'm belaboring the point. I don't want to beat them down right now. The season's not over. I'm hoping it turns around, but I just have no confidence in the team right now this year. I think they need a change of head coach in the off season, assuming that they don't win the championship or assuming they don't make the NBA Finals.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. I don't know if I'm fully there because like you said, it's year one. You would hope that in year 2 he has more of an idea of his lineups, what he wants to do with the players, and there's less experimentation. And it's like, okay, let's hit the ground running with these are the guys that are playing, and let these guys build and grow together. So I would like to see if that happened in year 2 and how much of a change it made.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't happen. I'm not rooting for the guys firing. I don't want to run a coach out of town after 1 year. I just think, he was handed Tibbs came in. He had a Ford Pinto and he turned it into a Ferrari Testarossa.
Yeah, right.
And now Mike Brown's got a Ferrari Testarossa, and if you don't win 10 plus playoff games this year with the best Knicks roster on paper in my lifetime, and one of the deepest Knicks teams I've ever seen. I mean, the Knicks have like 13 guys that could play in the rotation.
Yeah, right.
If you don't get back to the Eastern Conference Finals in a year when the conference is wide open, with Indiana banged up and Boston supposedly banged up, right? I don't see how you don't try and make that improvement in the offseason. But
I agree.
We'll see how it ends. Michael Malone is sitting right out there without a job. Tyler Jenkins is sitting right out there without. There's a lot of guys sitting out there without a job. Mike Woodson is. Who else is not? Who else is sitting out there without a job? Tom Thibodeau is sitting out there without a job.
Right.
Yeah. And there's precedent for bringing a guy back in Knicks history. His name was Red Holtzman, who did 2 terms with the Knicks. I'm not saying that they're going to do that, but you know what I'm saying? There's guys out there who could come in and get the Knicks past over the hump. So we'll see how it turns out.
We'll see. Nick, always a pleasure.
Take care, man. Bye.
Take care. Yeah, guys, it's. I would like to see Woodson come back, get another year to, like I've said over. I've always said, it's not easy to just you don't just jump in and you know exactly what everyone can do. Mike Woodson's got to learn this team. He's got to learn their nuances and understand the players. So this is year 1, and it could take a year. But how depressing would it be to not even get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, like Nick was just saying, in a year that the Eastern Conference, the Knicks were supposed to be one of the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference at the very least. And there's just too much not established, in my opinion, with this team. So I understand what Nick is saying. I get it. There's just too much not established. Say what you want about Thibodeau. When he felt like we had teams that could compete, all of this experimenting stuff, and after 20 games, it was done. But he knew who his rotation was and his lineups were coming into the season. All the experimentation stuff was about, okay, do I have anyone who surprises me? Do I have anyone who can beat out this guy or that guy? No, I don't. Okay, you guys go play in the G League. We're making sure that this group right here knows how to play together, so when the playoffs come, we do what we got to do. You know what's funny? When you're looking back at it now, you might even say that Tom Thibodeau maximized the team that we had last year. You might even say that now, looking back at it, that he actually maximized that team, because that team was nowhere near as deep as this basketball team right now. Nowhere near as deep. You didn't have 13, like Nick said, you didn't have 13 guys that you knew could be in a rotation. You didn't. The team was nowhere near as deep. Maybe Tom Thibodeau maximized that team. Just maybe. Maybe Tom Thibodeau, like Nick said, was that bad guy that the Knicks needed. Maybe Tom Thibodeau brought some edge that this team needed. Maybe his stubbornness actually ran over into the team and allowed them to be stubborn on the court, or taught them to be stubborn on the court. Right? You know, because we started off this season saying we're not hunting for wins. We're going to rest guys. We're going to take our time and rest for the playoffs. Well, you know, to me, that kind of infected. That's total opposite of what the team was doing. That's a whole nother direction of what we were doing under Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau, you're right. Tom Thibodeau was, we're going to win every game. We're F all this other stuff. We're trying to win when we step on the floor. So I'm playing my guys. I'm playing the guys that's going to get me wins. And this is how we're going to be prepared for the playoffs. Now we go the whole other direction. Oh, you don't feel good? Your toes hurt. Go sit down. You just need a break. Go sit down. You know, and buddy with everybody and all of this. And now it's like we're bringing that to the court. We don't have that fire. We don't understand the sense of urgency. We struggle to buckle down. And here we are. Yes, I know we have a winning record. I get all of that. You know what I'm saying? But we do not look like a team that's ready to go into the playoffs and win. I mean, come on. Last year, we won 50 games with Brunson hurt for a lot of those games during the end of the season. We had injuries too. We still won 50 games with a less talented squad. If Brunson wasn't hurt towards the end of the season, we win 58, 59 games. With that squad. There's some issues with this team. There's some issues with this basketball team. Heart-wise, edge-wise, mindset. And I think it all festered from the beginning of the season. I got my brother Corey. Corey, what's popping, bro? How you feeling?
Yo, what's going on with you?
I'm pissed off. Personally, I feel good, but I'm pissed off at this team.
You know what? I can really, truly understand your frustration on that, because the way I watched the game tonight, I was feeling the same way. But sometimes when you watch a game of how the way we came out, like you said, with no type of sense of urgency, no type of sense of energy to really, trying to get over the hump of how the way we played them last games when we was down 18 points against Houston and came back and won by 2 points. Ever since then, okay. And then the game against Chicago was giving all the we can handle and lucky to win by 6 points. Good. But then when we had to travel to Cleveland, and now we come out and we get our butts kicked to lose by 15, I mean, it's an embarrassment. But you know how I think this embarrassment comes along? It comes along when you don't have a consistent starting lineup. We're switching players in and out the lineup too much. And I see where the struggle comes from because Mike Brown doesn't know who could be trusted in a starting lineup to get the offense on the side of the ball going before he makes his move to go to the bench to get these other players on the defensive side of the ball going. That's where I see the struggle is coming at. If he could find a way to try to get that together, and if they could find a way to get on that winning streak that they had like midway before the All-Star break, then I see us, saying getting back where we need to be. Because right now, this inconsistency of the lineup is really making us look bad right now.
I mean, the thing, Corey, right now is we're in a part of the season where teams are really locking in. Teams are locking in. And we're not locking in with them. And, I'm feeling a little, I feel like, okay, teams are locking in. All right, we beat Houston. But teams are locking in. And can we handle these teams when they lock in?
No.
You know what I'm saying? That's where my concern is right now. Can we handle these teams right now when they're locking in? We got
and this is all about seeding.
Yeah. We got a number of playoff teams coming up. Can we lock in? Can we lock in?
And I can agree with you even more.
Say that again?
And I said I can't agree with you even more because now, when it's the second half of the season, now we have to worry about being in the best seed we can beat. And I heard another Knicks podcast said that you don't want to be the fourth seed if the season ended today, that you could end up possibly playing Detroit in the second round. And no team don't want to play Detroit in the second round.
I mean, listen, I get all of that. I don't want to be the fourth seed because I don't want to drop. That means we're losing basketball games. Not even because of Detroit, but because we're going to drop. Am I worried? Is Detroit a good team? Very, very good team. Can they beat us in the playoffs? Yes. Can we beat them in the playoffs? Yes. We can beat anyone when we're locked in and focused. That's the problem. That's what I fear with this team. That we're going to try to lock in the playoffs, but you build habits throughout the season. So it's hard. And, the Chicago Bulls with Jordan back in the day, somebody, San Antonio and the Tim Duncan Spurs, those teams had experience making it to the finals. They understood how to lock in, when to lock in, and how to turn it up because they were in the NBA finals on multiple occasions. This team hasn't been anywhere. So how do you know how to lock in? How do you understand how to coast through a season and then lock in when the time is right? If you've never been to the chip, how do you understand how to coast your way to the chip? You don't. Because you haven't been there. You haven't done it. You need that experience to understand what it takes. They don't understand what it takes because they haven't been there. But it's something that we try to, we mismanaged, in my opinion, this team for the season. We overcoached, we overthought, we overmanaged with all of this sitting out and experimentation and all of this stuff. I feel like we just overcoached and managed this basketball season all season long. Now we're down to the last 23 games of the season. We're still searching for our best lineups. We're still looking for the guys around the edges that's going to play. We're still tweaking. We should right now just be tweaking things. Why not?
Yeah, I feel you on that, though. But see, and now we're down to almost close to 20 games left in the season.
Yeah.
Now, like you said, now we have to try to knuckle down and try to really elevate these last 20 games to play for important seeding of the standings.
Yeah.
If it was my hope of the number we get as a seed, I want number 2 if possible.
Yeah, I mean,
Number
listen, that'd be nice. Number 2, number 2, number 3 kind of are on the same path. I just want to be playing well going into the playoffs. I want to be humming going into the playoffs. I want our defense to be tight. I want our offense to be smooth. You understand what I'm saying? I want us to be humming. I want Mike Brown to understand his team and how to push their buttons. And I don't think any of that is working. Any of that is there right now. We're not humming. Mike Brown is still figuring out the team, and we're going to enter the playoffs that way. You know what I'm saying? Whatever seed we get, we get. I just want us to enter the playoffs playing well and focused. That's where I want us to be.
Right. And I agree with you 100% on that. Because if we don't find a way to, like you said, to focus towards the end of the season, and if we play not within our potential that we play since the beginning of the season, we're going to get exited out pretty fast, and it's not going to be a good season of that ending when we already got high expectation on us. And our high expectation is to get to the finals this year.
Yeah. You think we're going to the finals?
Well, I don't want to escalate on that point yet. I have to see how we finish the season out first to see where our season may, be clinched, and just take it from there. I'm just keeping it real.
Okay. I get that. Are you afraid that you're going to jinx the team or something?
Well, if I was able to answer the question about going to the finals?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I learned in life, which is really reality, is I don't never try to build hopes up too high for anything. That's how.
Okay. I got you on that.
Yeah. Just got to take it one day at a time. And one game at a time.
I got you on that. I don't think we're going to the NBA Finals.
If I had to really see right now, I would have to choose out of the West. If Thunder keep up the way they're playing, I see them possibly repeating. But I would not count the Spurs out because the Spurs right now are playing some dangerous basketball.
Mm-hmm.
They're the number 2 team in the West right now, and they're really trying to catch the Thunder. They're really trying to catch them because they already beat them 4 times out of 5 this season. So I would not count them out by a long shot because just imagine if you see Spurs and the Thunder in the probably Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be a good one. And I mean, you could see those 2 teams there too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see it.
That's going to be like a do or die series. I see that series possibly going 7.
Yeah.
But who will have the home court advantage?
Wow.
I will have to say the Thunder. But Spurs are a dangerous road team. They beat them at Oklahoma City twice this year.
Yeah. I hear you. But, our Knicks, I don't know, man. But, Corey, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for your time.
You already know, baby.
All right, peace. Big Commodity said, I'm saying it. We're going to the finals. We can beat any team in the East. We can beat any team in the East when we're focused. Any of those top 4 teams can beat us too. Any of those top 3 teams can beat us too. That's the problem. We're not always focused like we're supposed to be, man. Tonight the Knicks lose 109-94 to the Cleveland Cavaliers. 23 assists tonight for the Knicks. 16 turnovers, turning the ball over. We shot 27% from three, 40% from the field, 66% from the free throw line. Just not a good shooting night for the Knicks. Only scored 94 points. All right. Second chance points by Cleveland. They beat us by 1. 16 second chance points. 9 fast break points for the Knicks, 8 for Cleveland. But, it comes down to the shooting. Comes down to the shooting for the night, man. The shooting, the energy. Something is amiss. Karl Anthony Towns takes 5 shots tonight. Okay, listen. Come on, man. That's come on. 5. He was 5 for 5 from the field. Why are we not looking to him? Why are we not trying to find him? Why is he not a focal point? He's 5 for 5 from the field. He had 14 points on 5 freaking shots. 7 rebounds. Mikal Bridges was 6 for 17. He took 17 shots, though. Jalen Brunson was 6 for 19. He took 19 shots, though. Jalen Brunson shot 31%, took 19 shots. Karl Anthony Towns was 100% from the field and took 5 shots. By comparison, Mo Diawara took 5 shots tonight. Mitchell Robinson took 6 shots tonight, but he was 5 for 6. Landry Shamet took 5 shots tonight. Jose Alvarado took 5 shots tonight. By comparison to Karl Anthony Towns, an All-NBA player, took 5 shots tonight. What are we doing? What are we doing? Where are we going? What are we doing? Jeremy Sohan played 4 minutes tonight. In garbage time. I thought he was supposed to be somebody we coveted. I don't know what we're trying to. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what Mike Brown is doing with the lineups and the rotations. I don't know. I'm confused. Caller, you're live. Name me where you're from, please. Caller, you on the line? Are you there? I guess they hung up. I think that was Josh. Josh, please call back. I don't know what happened. Maybe his phone died. If you're gonna call up, please make sure your phone is charged. You know what I mean? Make sure your phone is charged if you're gonna call up. But it's disappointing to be at this point in the season and not playing well. 23 games left in the season and not playing well. Not doing the things we're supposed to do out there on the floor. Not having the proper energy, the proper mindset, the proper urgency. Come on, man. It's crazy. Kev said, Karl Anthony Towns should never have less than 10 shots. I agree 100%. Unless the Knicks just blew the team out by 30, 40 points and the shots weren't needed, I get it. You're in a tight spot. We needed points. We scored 94. 94. We didn't go to a guy who was shooting 100% from the field. Make it make sense to me. Josh Hart had 11 shots. Yeah, big commodity. Josh Hart had 11 shots. Lou, you said, isn't this a coaching issue? My bad, I just got it. Yeah, we've been talking about the coaching all the entire broadcast. It is a coaching issue. It is a coaching issue, Your coach, you look at the stat sheet and you say, this man's 5 for 5. Give him the ball. OG, stop shooting. Bridges, stop shooting. Jalen, stop shooting. Skate the ball to Cat. Let's see what he can do. We can come back to you later. That's what you do. But it's like we're at this point in the season and we're still worried about if our starting guys are playing 35 minutes, if our bench is playing enough minutes, there's certain guy, we're still worried about that. I don't give a damn. Play the dudes that's going to win you the basketball game. I don't care if they play 40 minutes. I'm sorry, because we don't have any chemistry. Because we're playing jagged minutes. Guys are in and out. You know what I'm saying? It's like a carousel of people coming in and out the game all the time. I don't know, man. I don't know. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be a sign of him actually just nailing down. Maybe it is. Because up until it was garbage time, he only really had played 8 guys or something. So the Knicks now go to Milwaukee. They're going to finish off this little road trip in Milwaukee. Who knows? Anytime, wherever the Knicks go, who knows which team is going to show up? We don't know which team is going to show up. The Jekyll and Hyde tour, yeah. Is it going to be a team that plays spirited, that can shoot the ball, that plays defense? Or is it going to be a team that just plays like they don't care? That's what we're coming to expect from this basketball team right now. This is the predictability that we have of this team, that they're going to be, that we don't know which team is going to show up. That's going to be a big problem for the playoffs. That's a huge problem for the playoffs. You don't know who's showing up. You don't know which team's going to show up. Every time you step out on the damn floor, come on, man. Come on. Lou Bangs, you said coaching and locker room issues. We fixed that. We're straight. That's the thing. Is that something you can really fix during the season? The locker room issues. I don't know. Maybe, but sometimes it takes that break, that summer, to get all the residue off, and then come back. Sometimes it takes that. So, do we fix it this season? I hope so. As far as the coaching, that's Mike Brown getting better as a coach. Right now, he's in the midst of it. It's hard for him to really understand what he has to do to get better as a coach right now. It's, pertaining to this basketball team. You do that in the offseason when you look back and, you think about, you look at film and you look at decisions you made, you know what I mean? And now you're prepared for next season, right? You prepare a little bit differently than the following season. But in mid-season, it's a little tougher. It's a little bit tougher. Disappointing loss from the Knicks, though, man. So now the Knicks are still third in the Eastern Conference, but tied with the Cleveland Cavaliers for the third spot. The Knicks winning the tiebreaker over the Cavs. So they're still in third place. But, the Cavs are hot. They're 8-2 in the last 10 games. The Knicks are 6-4 in the last 10 games. The Knicks are back to, right now, a 500 road record. The Knicks, they go to Milwaukee. Nothing's guaranteed with this basketball team because you don't know who's going to show up. Milwaukee's 25-31. They're going to be competitive. So I don't know. I know what to tell you, folks. Let's just stick in there. We know the Knicks are going to be in the playoffs. We know that. How they perform in the playoffs, we'll see. Big Commodity say we play the Bucks, the Spurs, the Raptors, Thunder. The next 4 games are tough. Very. All 4 of them. Tough. 3 of them playoff teams. The Bucks just below the play-in. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's tough. And then after these 4 games, this is when we really hit the home stretch. We're down to like 19, 20 games left. We've really hit the home stretch. Everyone's hitting the home stretch. Games are going to be tough. Teams are going to be locking in. You play playoff teams, you know, it's going to be tough. Now, you know, the Knicks record towards the end of the season may not be as tough as others. Other teams' records. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. May not be as tough as other teams' records, but, you know, I don't want to beat teams just because, you know, we're playing a weak schedule. I want us to prove, you know, maybe this is what we need to, you know, get going on the right track. You know, on a more consistent winning track. Get on a more, you know, tighten up our rotations and figure out the nuances of this basketball team. I don't know. I have no clue, guys. I really don't. Just disappointed in this loss. Anyway, I'm going to head off. I apologize for missing the past few games. I was under the weather. I was traveling and under the weather. But I'll be on tomorrow. I'll be on Thursday. I'll be on Friday. Saturday, I'm flying to San Diego. So I'm going to miss a couple more shows. Hopefully I'll have Die Hard or Tony or someone to make up the post games for me. I'll speak with them. I'll be in San Diego for about 4 days. You know, just trying to, just getting a minute to get away and relax. You know, so if I get a chance, I might jump on through my phone or something and just say, you know, a little 10-minute, whatever, little 10-minute joint. But, you know, I'll be on throughout this week, and then hit Saturday, you know, I'll be gone. I'll be ghost for a little bit. I won't be ghost. I'll be in San Diego. You know where I'll be. I'll be chilling somewhere. You dig? But ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Have a great night. I will definitely see you tomorrow. Well, you know, a lot of things I want to talk about with Tony and the crew. So, yeah, I'll catch you tomorrow, folks. We up out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.